Hey guys, it's Coach Matt with Lifelong Recovery. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how do I recover from a relapse. So this is a really important topic because what I've found with working with people who have struggled with addiction is relapse can really be viewed in this kind of fatalistic nature. And what we need to do if we've suffered from a relapse, whether it's been just a few days that I've been clean and sober, a few weeks, or if it's even been years or decades, what I really need to do is take a step back and look at what addiction is and how do I recover from that. So the very first thing that I need to do is I need to distance myself from the shame and the emotion of the relapse. Obviously, guys, this is much easier said than done. If I've suffered from a relapse, especially if I've had some time under my belt, people relapse after years and decades, even. So, if it's been a significant amount of time, obviously I'm probably going to feel more of a sense of failure than if it's only been a couple weeks or something. But regardless of how long it's been, we need to keep in mind what addiction is. So, addiction is a relapsing chronic brain disease. So, what that means is once I've crossed that threshold into addiction with a substance, then my brain has physically changed. When I have crossed that threshold into addiction, I am no longer safely able to use any kind of mind altering substance. Right? So even one drink, one hit, one pill, one whatever can send me full fledged back into the throes of addiction. So I need to understand and objectively look at what addiction is. So again, once I've crossed this threshold, right, my brain is different. Now I have this literal disease of the brain, and it's the same thing as if I had any other disease of any other organ. The only difference is the brain is like the CPU, right? It controls my thinking, my decision making, everything like that. So it looks a lot different than if I had disease of my heart or kidney or lungs or whatever. But it's still a disease. My brain, unfortunately, it still is diseased. I've been clean and sober for 15 years. I still, even though I'm not in active addiction anymore, my brain has been physically changed, right? I still do have this chronic disease. So I need to treat it on a daily basis, basically. I need to be aware that I still have this disease. Now don't get me wrong. This doesn't mean that I can't move on, right? This doesn't mean that I can't live a normal life. It's just the same thing as if I had any other chronic disease. I need to be treating it. I need to be taking care of it. So very similar to if I had diabetes, I would treat it the same way in terms of I would go on living my life, right? It's not going to prevent me from doing the things that I want to do. However, I need to be mindful of the fact that I have this disease, right? So if I have diabetes, then obviously I'm going to have to control my blood sugar, right? I'm going to have to maybe take insulin on a daily basis. I'm going to have to look at the things that I eat. So it's very similar in terms of that it just needs to be monitored, and I need to be practicing maintenance and recovery on a regular basis. So what I'm doing, right? I'm taking a step back. I'm trying to remove the emotion and especially the shame from this as much as possible and see this as a medical disease. I need to look at this as objectively as possible. So the first thing with this, what happened? What was going on that led to the relapse? Do I need to change something? So, for instance, I'll tell you guys one of the first times that I relapsed after I got serious about my recovery, right? So I was in an IOP program. I had gone through a medical detox, and that was all on my own accord. I was very serious about recovery, but I didn't know a lot about recovery. I didn't know what I didn't know yet, right? And the first week into my intensive outpatient counseling program that I was in, I was feeling good. I was maybe 2 weeks sober, including my medical detox, right? And it was one of my good friends' birthdays, right? Now, as you can imagine, I had made a lot of good friends that had similar issues and did similar things to what I did, right? So this particular friend of mine who, by the way, is in recovery now for a few years, which is really cool. But this particular friend of mine, it was his birthday, and he wanted me to go out with him, right? Well, where did he want me to go out with him to? A bar, right? So, because that's what he did. So my naive ass, I thought I was feeling good. I was feeling strong. In hindsight, it wasn't that smart, but I went out to the bar and I probably lasted an hour, maybe 2 hours before I started drinking. But I say all that to say, do I need to change something? Well, I can't. Early in my recovery, I couldn't be around the drinking and using, right? I still choose not to be around people using maybe THC sometimes, but especially early on, it just was too difficult. It was too triggering. So that was something, just to give you an example. Do I need to change something? Yeah, I need to change my environment. I can't be around it right now. Another question you ask yourself, do I need more support? So for me at that time, the only support that I had was through my intensive outpatient counseling group. And that was Monday through Friday. Well, I say the only support. That was basically it. I had people in my life, like my family, that supported me, but I still just didn't know very much about addiction at the time. And the problem was, on the days that I was going to the outpatient counseling group, I felt very supportive. I felt encouraged. Things that they were talking about were fresh in my mind, of how to stay clean and sober, working on myself, these kinds of things. But on Saturday and Sunday, I didn't have that. So for me, I did need more support. And the way that I personally got that was through a 12-step program. But I realized that's not for everybody. That's okay. So whatever support is beneficial to you, whatever that looks like for you, just figure it out and see, do I need support? Do I need more support? The next question to ask yourself would be, do I need professional help? So, like I was telling you guys, I was in an intensive outpatient counseling program. Now, I did stay sober eventually with that intensive outpatient counseling program and 12-step support and some other things mixed in there. But do I need to add professional help, or do I need to up the ante? Do I need more professional help? So a lot of times what people do when I was working in treatment is they would be in an outpatient program and would relapse, and then realize that they needed more intense help, so that you would go into a residential program for a couple weeks. Guys, I'll go ahead and finish. I'll make another video, part 2 of this. So guys, thank you for watching, and please stay tuned for part 2.